All right, well, we're going to get into some of the guys who may not be happy about the Browns draft picks because it might be them that are out of jobs. But G and I have already been on this week, Jason. You have not, so give us your thoughts on the Browns draft before we dive into this.
I mean, not much different than everybody else. You know, I don't know how you can be upset with it. I think they did a great job. What's interesting to me, I was thinking about this last couple of days, I think the receivers are going to determine the success of this draft. Like Spencer Fano, I have no issues. Like, I have no concern.
Yeah, he might not be great, but he'll be good, and, who knows?
Fano's going to be here for 10 years.
Yeah.
Is he going to be at left tackle for 10 years?
Who knows?
I don't know. I think the size concerns are real with him, and he may have to move inside. But if he's a perennial Pro Bowler as a guard, you might complain. I'm not.
I wouldn't complain. No.
Yeah, and so I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah.
But I just think because of the lack of playmakers that they've had on the outside for so long, I think it's those two receivers that are going to really determine how we view this draft.
Absolutely.
Is that fair? You guys think that's fair?
Yeah, because, you got two rookies, and I think they doubled down a little bit because what Concepcion's skill set is, they kind of asked themselves, can we count on him to be a primary target?
Yeah.
With some of the deficiencies he has, because we asked his coach, and his coach admitted, he's like, hey, he's had some drop issues, and it's almost like, do we want to put that all on him? And so they go back and get Denzel Boston, and now I think you look at it differently because now you got two guys that if one guy is struggling, you still have another guy that can kind of develop and show up a little bit. So I do think overall we'll know what we feel about it when it comes to the receivers.
The safety, I think, will be fine. And after you get it was the first four picks last year, right? It was Graham and Schlesinger, Judkins, and Fannin.
Mm-hmm. Then it went to hell with Dylan Gabriel.
But it was like they got four big hits out of it.
Right.
So I'm looking at this class going, okay, well, it's Fano, it's EMW, and it's the two receivers.
Boston, yeah.
Those are the four that you need to get. And then if anything below that is gold, if you get anything out of those guys. But it's those four. And to me, it's the receivers that are going to determine how successful this draft class is.
Yeah, I think
because they've had, need I remind you of Muhammad Massaquoi and Brian Rubisky. So they've taken receivers high in the past.
And Corey Coleman.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that it's
it's not a guarantee. No.
But if these guys hit, then this becomes 2 years in a row.
Right.
I think they really popped this class.
We can only judge on paper right now. That's all we have. On paper, it's including last year, I said this earlier today, it's the first time I can remember that when the draft was over, I had no beef with any of them. And I was lukewarm on Fano initially just because I had, because I heard Joe Thomas and Sean King talk about other offensive linemen. But as it went on, I'm like, okay, fine, that's all right. There was not a single pick the Browns made where I was like, what were they doing here?
Yeah.
Even last year with Gabriel, you're like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But there was not a single pick.
No.
Where you're like, even the quarterback they drafted late, you're like, I get it.
Yeah, I totally
first
got
of all,
that.
There's no downside when you draft a guy in the 6th round. There is no such thing as downside in the 6th round. And Dustin said to me, because Dustin actually got a chance to meet him because he did one of his games.
Oh, yeah?
So he said he's an unbelievable, smart, nice young man. And he goes, it's easy to say, and it will be. We know it's a two-man competition between Shedeur and Watson.
Right.
And it's easy to say that, and that's definitely the case. But Dustin made a great point, and he could expand on it on UCSS tomorrow when he's on. But he goes, when fans see him on the field because of what he looks like and how gifted he is athletically, it's going to get people excited, even though it may be absurd, the idea of him playing at least initially.
Right.
But it's going to, you saw, it's like, I remember, now we expected this guy to play, but after being at training camp for a number of years, seeing pretty much nothing but scrubs with the Browns my first few years in Cleveland, and then all of a sudden Josh Gordon showed up, and I was like, this guy's different.
Yeah.
Holy moly, look at this guy. And obviously this guy's not the talent at his position that Josh Gordon is, but he's a absolute freak, and so people are going to see him in camp and go, oh my God, look at this guy.
He's the most athletic quarterback arguably ever if you go off the combine test. But, boy, you said yesterday, and this would inspire the topic of Wypler and maybe DeJuan Jones and Cedric Tillman, guys like that who may be in jeopardy of a roster spot due to the fact that they drafted so many guys you think could play right away. Who else on that list? Did I name all the guys you think?
Did you say Wypler and Zinter?
I didn't mention Zinter. There you go. That's a good one.
So Wypler, Zinter, and I think Cedric Tillman are all gone, guys.
I'm not sure on Tillman.
Okay, no, I mean, I'm not saying he's gone today, but I think and I don't know if they can get anything for him, maybe a 7th-round pick or something.
No.
Here's the way I look at it. You guys tell me what you think. First of all, including free agency, trade, and draft, you have added 7 offensive linemen, including one guy you brought back, right? So you have 7. Those 7 guys are on this team. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to probably keep 9 offensive linemen,
Yes.
right?
Maybe.
Sometimes 10, but most teams keep 9.
It always slides between offensive line
And defensive line.
and D, like cornerbacks or even D line.
Yeah.
Because offensive line and D line, you're like, okay, can we keep you? Because those guys can't play special teams.
But I think this year the Browns, I can't remember if they did the whole season, they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Because they're going to keep this kid on the roster at quarterback because they might be able to use him as a gadget player.
Well, that's where if you carry him on the 53, but then he becomes the emergency. So,
Right.
So he doesn't count against your 45 active, unless you want to make
Right,
him.
but he's still on the 50. He counts
He counts on the
the
53.
they'll have 3 quarterbacks on the 53.
What I'm saying is, if you want to make him, because my immediate thought was, well, that's your sneaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Deshaun doesn't like sneaking.
Right.
I don't know about Shador.
Yeah.
But like 3rd and 1. That's
Well, he's
your
not going to
guy.
be better than this guy. I
No,
mean, yeah.
but now you got to carry him on the active. You can't
Right.
just make him your emergency. You see what I'm saying? So
Right,
I mean, those
got
are
you.
logistics.
No, and I also think the Browns might keep 4 tight ends, but whatever. I'll just say 9 offensive linemen. So we know who the 7 are. They're draft picks, the Titus Howard, and the 3 guys they signed in free agency. So that's 7. So now you have 2 spots left. Okay? We know Zinter's gone. He's been totally useless. We know he's gone. For those last 2 spots, you have DeJuan Jones, you have Luke Wypler, you have KT Levinson. I think that's it. There's probably some undrafted guys whose names I'm not thinking of. So at most, you're keeping 2 of
So
those
you're
other
counting Tevin as part of the 7.
Yes.
Even though he was here last year. He's part
Right,
of the
just because
7.
they brought him back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
They're not going to cut him. I'd be surprised.
No, he's probably starting right guard.
Yeah, he's either the start. Yeah, probably start at least initially in the season. Right? You're not going to cut any of the offensive linemen. Even the center you drafted a little later, they're not cutting him.
Probably not.
Very unlikely.
Braceford.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's 7, including the guy, what's it? I just forgot his name.
Tevin Jenkins.
So I think they'll keep DeJuan Jones.
I do too.
Even though he's.
I do too.
I think he's a guy you want to keep.
Yeah.
And so the last spot, you're like, well, I don't need a center with Zinter because I got my starting center with Elton Jenkins.
Wypler.
Whippler. I think he's gone because you got Jenkins. You just drafted this kid.
I think I think that they might. I don't know, but Jenkins could play guard. He had his best years as guard. He played center as well.
True, but the kid they drafted was a 6th-round pick, right?
Is it
5th.
5th. I mean, he could start as a rookie, but I think it's unlikely he's going to start as a rookie.
What we're talking about is a really good problem. Because we talked about it a couple months ago, nobody was under contract.
Well, yeah.
And now you get to a point where they're like, well, it's a numbers game. I do think it's coming down to either Wypler. I think you're right. Zinter's not going to be on the squad. DeJuan Jones, I think they want to keep. But
I think it's Wypler and Levinson probably for the
I think
last
Levinson's gone.
Yeah.
So then maybe Wypler stays as,
Yeah.
I mean, he could play guard too.
How many project tackles can you have?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the good thing for the Browns is they have a lot of flexibility. They have a number of offensive linemen that can play different positions.
Yes.
So yeah, either Zinter's gone, and then either Wypler or Levinson. You're right. You're probably right. Probably Levinson. You keep Wypler, especially if you want to move Jenkins to guard, which is where he was best. I think he's going to be the starting center at the beginning of the year. But what's his name? The center they drafted.
Parker Brailsford.
If Brailsford kicks butt and he wins a starting job, well then you move. Then Tevin Jenkins is on the bench. You start Elton Jenkins at left or left.
And let me give you this. I always said this, and you just said something about Cedric Tillman. We always talk about it because I thought the same thing immediately. Oh, here they got Denzel Boston. It's the same body type. Here's the problem. During camp, there's going to be someone who comes up with a hamstring or hurt, and boom, you get an opportunity. Also, there's always 1 or 2 people that seem to catch fire with a new coach.
Yeah, he could.
In a new system, and you're like, wow, this guy, is he good like this? Like, he shows up. And I do think if you think about it, Cedric Tillman could be your 5th receiver. I mean, they got Floria. He got hurt in last year.
Yeah.
Thrash has shown you nothing.
Yeah.
And then you just drafted 2 guys, and you got Jerry Jeudy. So
now we don't listen until those guys play. We have no idea if they're capable of starting or not right away. But we know those 2 guys
on the roster.
Yeah.
We know they're on the roster. We know Judy's on the roster. We know Bond's on the roster.
Yep.
Yes.
Those 4 guys are going to be here.
Yep.
So and they should be.
I would include Tillman in that and draw a line under Tillman, and everybody else is gone.
And if Cedric Tillman is your 5th receiver, okay. I mean, he's not. He hasn't done anything to this point.
I'm just saying, is Cedric Tillman definitely gone? Certainly not.
Is he definitely here? Certainly not.
Yeah,
Right. I
We'll
just
agree
think
on that.
you never know. There could be an undrafted guy. There could be some other guy that flashes, and they're like, this young guy's got potential. We've seen Tillman for 3 years.
Oh, hold on.
Malachi Corley.
I think we did a.
Oh, they signed. They could keep 6 receivers too.
Wallace is primarily a returner.
Yeah,
man.
He has 22 catches in 4 years.
Right. Although Concepcion's going to be the returner.
And that's why I put him in his own line because they did sign him.
Yeah.
But I think there's no certainty he makes this roster.
We tripping.
No.
We tripping.
Yeah. Who?
We did not talk about the undrafted free agents. They got a kid from LSU, Anderson. I think it's going to be all right.
Aaron Anderson.
Aaron Anderson is going to be okay. He didn't have the production they needed, but again, LSU fell apart. They're like, I kind of compared him to Clemson. A bunch of talent, underperformed, coach got let go. But he, to me, is a guy you have to watch out for. And this guy, Tyreek Sapp, I think this guy is going to make – those 2 guys, when they drafted those dudes, I said, oh, I've seen these dudes before. I think those 2 guys could really play a role in that. Now, we talk about Gage Larberton and the rest of them, but I do like Aaron Anderson.
I do think it's funny that they signed Fano's brother.
Oh, no, that was the Bronny James. That's the package deal.
But
It's the Giannis.
Or it was the Tyson.
It's the Mobley.
Mobley, right?
Was he expected to be a late draft pick or no? Fano's brother.
He was like 7th round UDFA
So he might make the
situation.
team. I don't know.
Special team. We special teams.
Whatever. So we'll see with Cedric Tillman. I think that 5th spot's up for grabs. Honestly, if there's a undrafted guy, a rookie who flashes, I'd rather keep that guy. We've seen Tillman for 3 years. Not that you can't get better. There are receivers who get better after 3 years, but
you know what I like? I like the fact that this is going to turn into the Hunger Games. Listen. This is Survivor, the Hunger Games. Some people gonna be getting voted off the island, bull. Yeah. I love the fact that now you have a bunch of competition where guys have to show up every single day and do their thing. Yeah. I like the fact that I saw Deshaun Watson moving around pretty well. I like the fact that I saw him not moving without a hitch, because now every day people gotta come in and be ready to go. Especially, so you got competition now at receiver, competition on the O-line. They drafted 2 more tight ends and signed about 3 during the offseason. We know we got Fannin, but that's going to be a position group as well where guys are going to be fighting to make this roster.
Yeah.